Hogwarts Legacy, for better or for worse, this game has everyone up in arms. Since the trailer and the official release date, everyone has been covering this left, right and center, and for good reason. This game promises an epic RPG, one on a grandiose scale where you craft your own witch or wizard and you decide the fate of Hogwarts, making role-playing decisions on the way. I've been really excited to cover this because previously Harry Potter games weren't that great. Video game licensed games tend to be quite bad, so I was excited when I first saw the trailer for this, and I'm excited to be bringing you the review. Anyways guys, just before we start, find me on twitch.tv/bearded breakdown. Come join us, say hi, and here is the Hogwarts Legacy review. Bye. Okay, I'm going to come out and say it. Hogwarts Legacy looks gorgeous. With such a vast amount of lore to pull from, the art design team and the 3D modelling squad have created an astonishingly accurate world. Hogwarts Castle is a technical masterpiece, and there are so many moving parts that have come together with textures and lighting to create a world that feels alive. Having read all of the Harry Potter books, everything was displayed in almost the exact same way that the books had portrayed. The interior of the castle is lined with decorations from Hogwarts' decorated history, with tidbits all over the place, with the most significant of all the decorations having lore pages in our field guides. I truly felt like I was exploring the actual world of Harry Potter and the universe it contained. As I changed from the famous Great Hall, known for its plentiful food and sorting hat ceremony, to the restricted section of the library, everything I had read in my childhood and teens was coming to life. From a technical standpoint, the lighting and textures were on point in almost every environment, and I'm still blown away by the sheer level of detail given to every aspect of the castle. But that's not all. From the very first level in Scotland, you can immediately tell that the visual quality of this game is at such a high level. And as you go through the game, this also extends to the open world. You'll switch from Hogwarts to open fields and mountain plains in the Forbidden Forest, each feeling so unique in the way they're presented to you. They are highly individualistic with their own biomes, creating an incredible sense of immersion. Each area has its own flora and fauna, and the population in that area also represents this by making small lines of dialogue about the local threats and potential storylines that may open up. The characters, the world, the spells are all spectacular, as you'd expect from the wizarding world. The combat is dazzling at every turn with colourful spells and effects creating a visual spectacle. There are giant monsters and majestic beasts littered across the landscape, and as you soar across the skies on your broom or hippogriff, you can see that the world is living and breathing. The animations are amazing across the board, be it a student flying on their broom, or a humble house elf apparating from one location to another. I was really blown away by the room of requirement also, and how the environment so seamlessly changed according to what you needed as a player. Having the ability to change the lighting or loading up entirely different areas on a dime is very technically impressive, and I loved it. It went a long way to fulfilling the expectations that I had as a Harry Potter fan. And to have a game that changes its environments on the fly is truly magical, and by far one of the best parts of this game. So the trailers for this game didn't sell the combat very well. The combat looked lifeless and bland, and for the most part I was largely uninterested at the idea of combat in the game. Well, there is good news. The combat is highly engaging and quite difficult. You'll have a range of spells that are based on the already established lore. Levioso, for example, lifts up objects and enemies, priming them for juggling combos, while Confringo is a fireball spell that will launch enemies, setting them on fire, knocking them into the wall, and others for bonus damage. Each of these spells fall into different categories divided by colours to indicate what kind of spell they are. Purple being force spells that displace enemies, yellow being movement altering spells, and red being pure damage spells, and green being unforgivable curses. Each spell feels impactful and can be used in certain combinations to create truly devastating attacks. The vast variety of enemies mean that not all combos work in the same way, and you may face a heavily armoured Toad which is immune to most displacement spells, except after one particular attack that leaves them exposed to Flipendo. Each enemy has a weakness that you can exploit for bonus damage and different animations, making the combat feel different each time, and these weaknesses can be found in a well-documented field guide giving you alternate methods to approach combat. The enemies prove quite challenging at times, mixing up their own attacks so frequently that you'll find yourself on your toes, Parrying, dodging, and blocking are major parts of combat, and as you unlock more spells, you'll find yourself weaving spells in between your movement and in the blink of an eye, because if you don't, you'll instantly get punished by enemies. I really enjoyed this aspect of Hogwarts Legacy. Enemies move around a lot, countering your spells with their own shield, vulnerable to only one kind of spell. This requires you to carefully plan out your approach on harder difficulties, as you can only have 16 spells at any given time. You can also expand on these spells via talent points which you acquire during leveling, and each will give you a variety of modifications to your spells. For instance, a single target spell can become an AoE, or you can make your parry release 2 projectiles stunning enemies instead of 1. However, I must say that the unforgivable spells are clearly head and shoulders above the rest. With a couple of points invested in their skill tree, you can quickly take out mobs in seconds. Other parts of the game include exploration and questing in a typical open world format. You'll discover new locations, lore pieces, and can even take part in various challenges throughout the world, testing your skills in spellcasting and flying. There's lots to see in this world, lots of side content to chew through, and I won't ruin it for you here. But there are some arithmetic and physics puzzles, reflex challenges, and even trivia quizzes. It's quite involved. The devs have gone a long way into including many side activities for the budding wizard or witch, and there wasn't a moment where I felt I had nothing to do, or that I was suffering from open world sickness, which is very prevalent, especially in modern AAA games. Side quests for the most part felt unique and meaningful, expanding on the lore of a already established universe. Hogwarts Legacy does a great job of filling you in on the universe through the field guide, which records everything you encounter and gives you information on any subject within the universe at the time of the game. In this game, Hogwarts Legacy, we take on the role of a new student entering as a 5th year. Exposition is already given at the start of the game on why we've been brought up to speed by a high-level teacher who taught us the basics. We are required to get up to speed when we get to Hogwarts, and as we progress through the game, we discover that we have a special ability to harness ancient magic, which is the most powerful magic in the setting. We follow a fairly predictable storyline and progress through various relationships with students, teachers, and citizens alike, and for the most part I'd say that these interactions are interesting and nuanced, with the exception of 5 or so quests which were fetch quests. However, there is an element of ludonarrative dissonance here. Our character, who is a brand new wizard, picks up things immensely quickly, learning things on the fly that would usually take students 3 or 4 years to get hold of. I get that this is an exceptional student, but you also see this as an issue when the characters you're interacting with quickly become your friend and spill their greatest secrets to you as if you've been there for 4 years. It doesn't feel like you've earned their friendship, and I don't think there's much in the way of narrative choice because of this. You might piss off a character and in the next quest they'll be fine talking to you once again. The unforgivable spells also pose a narrative challenge. As the name suggests, these spells are forbidden and highly disliked in the wizarding world. Yet there really isn't any punishment for using these spells. You can use them in front of your professors and they'll say one sentence at how they are surprised you're using it and they're disappointed, and that's it. As it turns out, these spells are the best spells in the game, and you can one-shot single bar bosses and wipe out entire squads of enemies by chaining curses between them. It's just such an odd part of the game, as any Harry Potter fan is reminded constantly at how bad these spells are. The devs discussed this a little bit further, saying that they didn't want to punish players for taking these spells as it would have felt unfair, and I understand their point of view, but it's still an odd narrative choice to make. On a good note, the interactions between the characters are great. The writing feels believable and is paced well, even though there are some lip syncing issues at times. The professors are the star of the show, narratively speaking. Each feels unique and having their own flair as they go about their daily business, and it's a shame we don't have tons of opportunities to interact with them. As far as the story goes, I would have liked a system akin to the game Bully, which you probably remember on PlayStation 2, where you could keep going to classes to perfect your skill set, unlock more items over the course of the whole game, and these would keep the players engaged with the school aspect as opposed to chasing the main quest line, which is mostly unrelated to the things you do at school. There would have been a very interesting paradox there if you were able to take classes at specific times, if there was an in-game clock system that made you choose between your free time and attending classes, maybe damaging your grade if you don't attend those classes. Our main character feels quite bland in that sense and is devoid of any moral compass at times. They go from learning Avada Kedavra to being a sweetheart in a blink of an eye, and again it causes this narrative rift, and no decision felt like it had weight due to the weightlessness of our character. And you can feel this even in the character creator, as all the characters have the same generic feel to them. And I get that this is your own journey to craft, but you could also make your own character in Mass Effect. And Shepard's baseline was felt so heavily in the original Mass Effect. There's definitely some room for improvement here, but overall I enjoyed the writing and the story with the direction it took.
Just a moment. Ooh. Where are we here? Welcome to Gringotts Wizarding Bank. Vault number 12, I presume.
Precisely.
The Harry Potter universe is well known for its magical soundtracks, signature spellcasting sounds, and Hogwarts Legacy is no different. The soundtracks in this game are equal parts immersive and mystical. Playing with headphones really lends well to this, as the spatial audio is designed in such a way you'll hear things happen off screen, which will translate well in the moment-to-moment action of the game. The voice acting is tremendous, with a host of entertaining personalities, really bringing the characters to life in a way that is appropriate to the universe. The sounds of casting wands, fantastic beasts, and the bustling of Hogsmeade have a high quality feel to them. Traversing the village Hogsmeade in a particular way always brought a form of nostalgia and made me yearn for butterbeer. Hogwarts Legacy does a great job involving you in the world no matter where you go, and the soundtrack enables the game world to do so. And if there's anything that Harry Potter fans want, it's the ability to feel like they are actually in the world, and the game does this in such a fantastic way. Hogwarts Legacy allowed you to purchase the Deluxe Edition, which gave you 3 days early access. In these 3 days of early access, I noticed there was a lot of stuttering and FPS issues, with major drops inside the castle of Hogwarts, particularly in areas filled with NPCs. However, after the early access period had finished, I can safely say that I only encountered one bug where I had to reload the checkpoint to resume the questline. The FPS became a lot more stable, and even though I was running everything on high with DLSS at performance, this stability maintained itself throughout the whole game. The game didn't sacrifice much in the way of visual fidelity, even when you turn down the settings to minimal. The game's foundation is just built so well that even when you do turn down the settings, it still looks amazing. And as with all games, you can get a precise payload of performance data in places like Digital Foundry, and I'd advise you to check that out if you wanted metadata. In my own experience with the game, it ran very well, even during battles with over a dozen enemies. And by the time I had finished the story, I could safely say that I had played a well-optimized game that looked incredible on basically every setting. Even on low, this game looks, like I said, tremendous, and I can't emphasize this point enough. They have really made something special with the visual appeal and how well the game runs. One other issue that stemmed right at the start of the game was the character creator. When you're creating a character and you decide to manipulate the pitch of the character's voice in order to customize it, the deep sounds and the high-pitched sounds sound very robotic, and I can't imagine what's causing this problem, but if I had to take a guess, it's probably overlapping audio tracks that cause that robotic sound.
It was wonderful. I believe I'm really going to enjoy this class. I am indeed a student, but I could very well be able to. I'm eager to get to Hogsmeade. That was quite something.
Even the default voice still sometimes suffers with this during the main game. It didn't happen enough for me to notice consistently, but it is something to keep in mind. Overall, there are a couple of quirky bugs in the game, but nothing that would prevent you from playing it or otherwise ruin the experience. And so overall, like I said, it's a well optimized game and the performance was great, but just keep that sound bug in mind when you're creating your new character. And there you have it, the Hogwarts Legacy review. I had a lot of fun with this and I had an absolute blast playing. The game remained engaging with its frantic, fast-paced combat and its immersive world. This is truly an excellent game and definitely worth a purchase for Harry Potter fans and the like. Guys, if you liked the review, please leave a like, and if you loved it, please subscribe and look forward to more videos. I'll be covering a lot of things this year and I hope to see you then. Write in the comments if you liked this game and what you're looking forward to, and I'll catch you on the next video. Goodbye.